2009, a street-level drug dealer in Los Angeles met a princess from Beverly Hills and fell into both a romance and an illicit partnership. David Garrett enabled Lisette Lee to become a gangster of the First Order.
He wanted very much to impress her and told her that he had access to tons of marijuana and could make tons of money. He could buy marijuana for $500 a pound from his supplier in Arizona. He could sell it in Ohio for $1,000 a pound. So that's a 100% profit if only they could figure out how to get the drugs to the Midwest.
Enter the pot princess of Beverly Hills.
She said that she was starting a new business, completely separate from her parents. She actually told me to not ask any questions, but she said that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. I trusted her 100%, and I said, okay. She just said, we're going to be traveling in a private jet, consistently.
Lisette created an entourage.
Ultimately, there were 7 people involved, herself and 6 other people. She called them all Team LL, standing for Team Lisette Lee. She assigned them all code names. They were all 00 numbers, and she, of course, was 007.
In October 2009, Lisette called Team LL together to kick off the operation.
Everybody would assemble at Lisette's apartment, and there they would sort of, go over the plan.
Very, very basic information was discussed, and then I was asked to leave. And I guess that's when sensitive information was discussed, or the reality of what the plan was discussed.
They packed the drugs, 500 pounds of marijuana, into 17, the first trip, 17 suitcases. And I'm not talking Samsonite suitcases you pick up at Target. I'm talking Gucci, Louis Vuitton steamers, real cases.
The plan was David would get the drugs, and Lisette would take care of travel logistics. That she could charter a jet and pack it full of the pot and fly it to Ohio. It would be fast, discreet, and even though chartering a jet is expensive, it's about $50,000 a pop to charter a jet. But they could move so much weight that they would make up that cost in no time.
November 2009, Team LL set out for the Van Nuys Airport in a convoy of luxury cars.
Their convoy would pull right onto the tarmac, right up to the jet, and she would emerge from the car, her Chanel sunglasses on, rap music blaring, looking like every inch the kind of mafia princess, that she had always imagined herself to be.
I didn't even know where we were flying to.
Katie insists that she had no idea what the purpose of that first trip was.
Who thinks you're gonna get away with it? Who thinks someone's not gonna notice you flying once and twice a week with 12 to 15 suitcases?
June 14th, 2010, Team LL was disbanded and shut down.
We received information regarding a series of suspicious flights. This group was flying to Columbus, Ohio repeatedly, and each time they had excess amounts of large baggage, large suitcases. Each time they had sort of a different story.
Lisette had been using the same 2 basic cover stories for each trip. One involved a Korean pop star setting out to make a music video in Columbus, Ohio. The other simpler explanation involved a wealthy socialite moving there. Authorities say she overplayed her hand.
They also took note of how much incredibly heavy luggage she always had.
It was the work of observant DEA agents that caught Lee in the act.
There are always people watching when unusual things happen.
Once the next flight was in the air, that's when DEA Los Angeles called our office. As the plane landed, we made a fairly quick decision to just stop them before they got onto the highway.
It was like a scene from Blow. It was absolutely insane. Maybe half a dozen cars with the lights flashing and a lot of agents, a lot of badges, and a lot of machine guns. And one of them was pointed at my face, right next to me.
Miley, it appeared that she was in over her head and she realized it for the first time. As the others were trying to keep their cover for as long as it would hold up.
The one who put the machine gun in my face was actually really nice. He said, "You're not in charge here, are you?" And I just said, "No." And he said, "I didn't think so."
Our information was Lizette Lee was the lead passenger and the reason for the charter flight, and that came from the charter broker company and the specific companies that own the planes. And once the dog hit, we decided to bring everyone down to our office.
Miley and Lisette sat side by side, handcuffed in the back of a squad car. They did not speak and haven't spoken since.
I knew that she wasn't the person that I thought she was, and that I'd hoped she was.
October 2010, 4 months after her arrest, Lisette appeared before the court in Columbus.
Lizette wanted to get out of jail pending her trial. She convinced her attorneys to file a motion. Normally these hearings are sort of perfunctory. We agree upon a set of facts and the judge makes a ruling. This hearing went on for hours, hours and hours and hours.
She called her adoptive parents, an aunt, and her ex-fiancé to the stand.
Even that day, the testimony of those three individuals didn't match either what we were led to believe up to that point or even each other's. Each relative had a little bit different answer.
It was painful to watch.
The portrait that emerged of her in court was of a person whose life had been one of a constant identity crisis. That she was born in Korea with a Korean name. She came here and called herself Diana Lee growing up. Then she called herself Chantel Lee as a teenager before finally deciding upon her new name, which was Lizette Lacasio Lee. Sometimes she called herself Lizette Marita. Marita, she said, was her biological father's name. They testified that she was related to the Samsung family. She was a Samsung heiress, the granddaughter of the founder of the Samsung Corporation.
The hearing was front-page news in Korea. Within hours, the Samsung Corporation denied any knowledge of Lisette Lee.
There was a search warrant that was done at her apartment in which a document was discovered that purported to be from Samsung, and it actually referred to Lizette as Lizette Lee Marita.
Samsung denounced the evidence as a doctored memo, a forgery.
I think she is. And the reason why I believe that she is the illegitimate child of a Samsung heir is because it was told in open court. To stand up in court and state untrue things. I mean, that just makes no sense for those people to open them up for that kind of liability, that kind of prosecution. I mean, really. So I believe she is that, and I believe that she gets money from somewhere. I just, you know, whether or not they want to claim her, that's up to Samsung.
I mean, barring a DNA test, who knows? But Samsung just wanted this to go away as quickly as possible.
Lisette Lee, if that is her real name, pled guilty, as did all of her other co-defendants. While David Garrett got 10 years because of his prior arrests, Lisette got only 6. She is now representing herself from behind bars.
What I know and feel now is monumentally wiser than my mindset a year ago. I was on a wonderful and correct path and strayed. Never again.
She is scheduled for release in 2015.